We will be live here on the Kansas City Chiefs Report for the 2025 NFL Draft next Thursday and Friday night, and I can't wait. You need to make sure you're subscribed and you join us for our draft coverage as we will be reacting to the picks as they come in real time. YouTube.com/ChiefsTV to subscribe now, and you'll be alerted when we go live with our draft coverage. And here's the deal, folks. I am just fired up about this draft to welcome some new members into the kingdom. If you're like me and you're fired up for this draft and you're fired up that we're going to be live bringing you coverage of the draft, I need you to like today's video. Smash the like button if you're excited about the draft, and we'll get started with today's show. Hello there. Tyler Jones here. Appreciate you joining us here on the Chiefs Report. And we got a loaded show today as we're talking all things free agency. We'll start with a very familiar name to the kingdom, L'Jarius Sneed. Could he make a return to Kansas City? We'll show you what one NFL insider had to say about the possibility. Also, Jordan Poyer. Could he be signing with the Chiefs in free agency as well? We'll discuss those possibilities and more coming up here on today's show. Let's begin with L'Jarius Sneed. We all remember what happened last offseason when he was placed on the franchise tag, and then shortly thereafter that, he was traded to the Tennessee Titans. He did not have a good year in Tennessee, both on the field and off the field, and now SI's Albert Breer is suggesting that Sneed could be cut and could end up right back here in Kansas City with the Chiefs. Here's more from Albert Breer in his most recent SI Monday Morning QB column. How the Tennessee Titans handle L'Jarius Sneed as he faces charges of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon over a December shooting at a Texas car dealership will be interesting, since new GM Mike Borgonzi was actually part of trading him away from the Kansas City Chiefs a year ago. Kansas City, for the record, really liked him, but was nervous about his bulky knee. I bet they'd bring him back if the Titans end up cutting him. Now, personally, I would gladly bring back L'Jarius Sneed, and you'd be feeling really good about this corner situation, and you wouldn't be worried about Jalen Watson and his future. You could potentially move on from him and upgrade with L'Jarius Sneed, taking his old job back. And I know that this aggravated assault thing is very serious. We're not undermining that situation at all. But we've seen the Chiefs do a really great job with second chances, with guys that either were making their return to Kansas City or guys that have had their issues off the field and making things work. And Andy Reid holding those guys accountable. I think, personally, the Chiefs missed L'Jarius Sneed a lot last season. However, he didn't play too great with the Tennessee Titans, but they did miss the version that we saw of him the last time he was in Kansas City. And on top of that, because he could be released and because of the injuries that he suffered and the off-the-field stuff going on, he could come at a discount potentially as well, and that should be music to all of our ears on the idea of potentially bringing back L'Jarius Sneed. Let's tell you more about L'Jarius Sneed, former fourth-round pick with the Kansas City Chiefs. He was a part of not one, but two Super Bowl championship teams in Kansas City. He was then traded to the Titans last offseason after receiving the franchise tag. He had some health issues, and he had the off-the-field stuff going on, so now the Titans potentially could be looking to move on from him. Here's the statistics of what we're talking about. L'Jarius Sneed, so good in Kansas City. 14 pass breakups and 2 interceptions, along with 78 tackles in 2023. The year prior had 3 interceptions, 11 pass breakups, and 108 tackles. But last year left a lot to be desired with just 23 tackles in 5 games played, with no interceptions and no pass breakups. His coverage stats were not great either. He allowed a QB rating of 91.8 last year, and he gave up 13 completions off of 24 pass attempts for about 177 yards and a 1 touchdown allowed. So it wasn't the L'Jarius Sneed that we know, but maybe bring him back to Kansas City and we could see him perform at a high level again. So if that is an option, if L'Jarius Sneed does get released by the Titans, should the Chiefs bring him back? You got two options here. Type S for sign, P for pass. Weigh in our pinned comment today. Let us know what you think. Today's show is sponsored by Game Time. Game Time is the place to go for the best seats, the lowest prices guaranteed. Game Time makes getting tickets faster and easier, even for hard-to-get playoff seats. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to tip-off. If you're like me and you can't wait to get down to Oklahoma City to watch the Thunder in the postseason, you know where I'm going. I'm getting my tickets on Game Time, and you can too. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, used from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. Game Time is the official ticketing partner of the Chiefs Report, where they offer last-minute deals where you can save up to 60% off buying last minute for sports, concerts, comedy shows, theater productions, and more. Game Time Picks makes a last-minute ticket buying even easier than ever by highlighting the best deals in the stadium. They have their zone deals where you can save even more when you choose the section. Let Game Time choose the seats. They have their all-in pricing. Toggling this feature shows the total up front with no surprise fees at checkout. They have their seat views where you can get a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy. The lowest price is guaranteed, or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code ChatSports, $20 off your first purchase. Maybe you want to go to a Royals game. I know I'm going to be watching the Royals this summer, along with other events in Kansas City, whether it be the Current or Sporting KC, whatever it may be. You choose the event you want to go to. They got the prices listed. You choose your seat, and then boom, just like that, you're checking out with Apple Pay, Google Pay, Venmo, all major credit card providers. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last-minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. The link is in the comments and the description of today's video. Let's continue on the free agency front. And now let's turn our attention to Jordan Poyer, as Pro Football Network is suggesting that the Chiefs sign Poyer in NFL free agency after the departure of Justin Reid. Here's more from Pro Football Network. With Justin Reid gone and the offensive line being the likely target early in the draft, the Kansas City Chiefs are in need of a veteran safety presence to help keep this defense afloat next season. In years past, Jordan Poyer would have been way too expensive for the Chiefs. With his current state of play and the many injuries, they could take a risk on him for pennies on the dollar. Even at 33 years old, Poyer still managed a respectable 70 tackles and only 24 receptions allowed. He ranked about average in coverage, but above average in run defense last season, which should help balance out the Chiefs' defense, who is already much better against the run. Now, you're talking pennies on the dollar. Pennies on the dollar works for the Kansas City Chiefs, who don't have a ton of cash to spend at this point in time with what they've done to pay guys like Trey Smith with the franchise tag and paying Nick Bolton, among others here. And you're still having to pay your draft picks coming up pretty soon. There's not a whole lot of cash to spend. So pennies on the dollar, you have my attention. Now, with that said, Poyer, he's towards the end of his career now. He's closer to the end than he was his prime years. And if we're going to be honest with you, he was bad in coverage in 2024 with the Miami Dolphins. And I was talking to our friend Nick Roloff, who hosts the Dolphins Today show here at Chat Sports. And one of the things that Rolly was telling me was that with this Dolphins team, how bad they were in 2024, that Poyer, there was a lack of effort, that he was mentally checked out on the season and what was going on with the Miami Dolphins. And that's a bit of a red flag. Now, I will say, though, that when you play in Kansas City, you would think, because we expect this to be a Super Bowl caliber team this year, that shouldn't be a problem. you would hope that his heart is going to be in the right place if he were to sign with Kansas City. If, and only if, he's all in, and you make that very clear, you say, look, we saw the effort wasn't the best last season. If he's all in, then I would give him a chance for pennies on the dollar to come in and slide into this safety room and fill the void left by Justin Reid, if he's willing to be all in and put everything on the line. More on Jordan Poyer. He began his career, the former 7th-round pick, with the Eagles, then went to the Browns, the Bills, and most recently with the Dolphins. His best seasons probably around 2021 and 2022. He was a first-team All-Pro in 2021, followed that up by being named to his one and only Pro Bowl selection in 2022. And you take a look at his numbers, you can see that there's been a bit of a drop-off the last 2 seasons, as he had 9 combined interceptions in 21 and in 22, his best 2 seasons. But since then, he hasn't had a single turnover, and he's had less pass breakups in the last 2 years than combined than he had in 2022 by itself, with 8 pass breakups compared to 7 pass breakups. And here's what we mean by him being piss poor in coverage, my friends. Last year, QB rating allowed of 111.2. Woof. That's not good. 490 yards given up, 33 completions. It was not great from Jordan Poyer, what we saw last year, but maybe, just maybe, he might have one more run left in him. So, you think the Chiefs should give Jordan Poyer a chance? If you do, type Y for yes. If not, type in for no. Get in that comment section. Let us know which way you lean. Appreciate you joining us here on this edition of the Kansas City Chiefs Report. If you enjoyed today's show, you're excited about the draft, hit that like button. We certainly would appreciate it. I'm Tyler Jones. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.